continue our exploration in the Book of Knowledge, the keys of Enoch. And we're continuing with the fourth key, which is about the initiation of the light pyramid of life. And just to remind you, this is the fourth key. The keys to the living biophysical and astrophysical universe are the living pyramids of life, existing within every structure and every field of creation. Now, the chapter talks about patterns of energy connected with these light pyramids. And it talks about the purpose of these light pyramids. Now, if I recall correctly, I believe I suggested that these light pyramids were ourselves, that we were the light pyramids, and that we are now the ones collecting this information. So, do you have any idea what information you may be collecting? And I'm gonna begin with Sandy. And she just chuckles at me. Oh crap, why did he pick me?
Oh my God. And I'm sitting here shaking my head because I don't have a clue. I need to think about that a little more. I just didn't.
I'll volunteer.
Well,
I'll get Sandy off the hook.
Oh,
Give her time to think. The first thought that went through my head is that stream of information that's just way out there, available to our collective unconscious or collective subconscious. I'm not quite sure. Once it comes available, when we dream or when we meditate, or just that's absorbed that we don't even digest yet. And I suspect there's a lot of undigested information I feel that's within me. And it's not until I experience or go through certain experiences, like this surgery. I'm sure that's going to be experience. I'm going to learn something, down the road that's going to be profound from what I'm going through now. I just can't connect the dots. I'm not meant to connect the dots yet. I'm sorry, I'm rattling on. But that's pretty much it.
No,
that big stream of information.
That's good. That's a good answer. And yours was a good answer too, Sandy. It was a good answer. And Sharon, what kind of information are we collecting? Or what do you think about that?
Well, every day that we have a new experience, every day we go off to do what we do, and we interact with people and we learn something new every day. So that's a given. I mean, even if you're home, even if you're not interacting with human beings on a physical level, there's always television and there's social media and there's other places that we can tap into to get information. Some of it is wonderful and others is a complete waste of time, but a waste of time and energy, I guess. But I guess maybe sometimes that's necessary too, because you don't know that it is a waste of time until after you've wasted the time. So yeah, that's kind of my feeling too. I mean, we are constantly, I don't know about anybody else, but I feel like I'm constantly absorbing. It's all the time. And probably when we're sleeping too, like you said, Beth, about dreams and things that come to us. It's life. It's just life.
Good answer. Good answer. And Reverend Thomas, what kind of information are you collecting?
Before I answer that direct question, I wanted to add to what to the nice picture that Beth was painting there about this stream of information and kind of tapping into it. And what immediately came into my mind was, you mentioned our filters earlier today, and that's what determines what comes out of that stream. What we allow in is our filters. And that's the thing that we are adjusting with our experiences when we make our own internal adjustments and changes. So I thought it was a perfect time to connect those dots, maybe in our minds. And in light of that, that's no different for me. That what's coming to me is determined by what I'm open to, and what I'm and I'm coming to a place where I'm more actively working with that filter and rejecting certain things that I just don't want them. I choose not to pollute my consciousness with them. And maybe that's kind of new, that I thought I could just separate them after collecting, but I'm making the decision not to collect in the first place, not to let the garbage in, and to I'll get up and have my coffee in the morning, and my habit has been to go through the news, and of late, more often than not, I put the new age music station on the TV and sit quietly drinking my coffee, and that is far, far more satisfying than having to deal with the latest drama going on out there. And I don't feel I'm just ignoring it so much as I'm able to contribute a better energy towards perhaps the solution of what's going on out there. Keep reminding myself that I call it voting. Every moment of every day, we're voting with our energy what kind of future world is going to develop. And I've become more and more aware of when I'm voting for something that I'm really would choose not to have, and try to change that. So thank you, Reverend Philip.
Good answers. They're all good answers. And there's a common thread with all of these answers. And Mr. Hertog tells us that the information that is being collected is information about life, which is exactly what each of you shared. Was the information you're collecting is about life. And life includes biomes, ecosystems, and a variety of subsystems within not only our life, our personal lives, but life in general. Because there are so many nuances. And, there are a variety of light frequencies. We know that. There's the color spectrum. There's ultraviolet. There's so many different light spectrums there. But the thing we might want to keep in mind is that light is not a separate energy. It is merely the frequency of energy. All energy is frequencies. That's it. It's frequencies. It's when you have frequencies, similar frequencies that begin to resonate together, that we get these light constructs. And that's what they are. They're light constructs. Holograms are light constructs. This hand that I'm tapping is a light construct. Although it feels solid, if I were to cut it off, I would see my finger laying on the table or on the desk, because those those frequencies are packed. They resonate in such a way that they give a physical form, but they're still frequencies. Whether we call them auditory frequencies, light frequencies, or gravity, they're still, it's all energy, and energy is nothing but frequencies. So with that in mind, let's talk a little bit about human intelligence, because what he says here, now, as I've said earlier, there's much more information, and I just select a verse or two here that kind of summarizes what he's trying to get across, or what I believe he may be trying to get across. And in this instance, he writes, human intelligence must be initiated into the pyramidal functions of light before they can advance to the next ordering of evolution, the next conscious time cell. And he's, human intelligence. He's very specific with this. Human intelligence. So that's our next question is, what do you believe human intelligence is? Because that's what needs to be initiated. What is intelligence? And Sharon's right in front of me this time, and I will begin with her.
Well, at first I thought it could be the summation of what is learned, but it's really different from that, because I think intelligence, it's more than that. It's intuition. It's how you think, how you process things, how you accept things. I mean, we can all have the same information and we're all going to process it in a different way if it's in front of us. So it's not just information, but it's how we accept the information, how we use it. It's kind of like that.
That's a good answer. Very good answer. And Beth, what is intelligence?
Well, really what's kind of stuck in my head is it's the way we use our brain. Don't use our brain. It's the way.
Good. And Reverend Thomas, intelligence.
Well, first off, to my understanding to this point, intelligence is non-physical. And I had a mentor and teacher many years ago that first to my consciousness proposed the idea that the mind was out there and that the physical brain was a matrix interface for the physical body, and that's not where the intelligence resides. And of course, as time has gone on, that fits into my spiritualist picture of the world, that somehow our intelligence, our identity lives on when the physical body no longer functions, and then that it fits well into that model of understanding, that their intelligence exists in an energetic level, and fits the laws of thermodynamics that you cannot create new matter or destroy it or energy. You can only convert it between the physical, what we would describe as physical matter, and some form of energy, and it cycles back and forth throughout the whole universe. And that again fits the model that spiritualism has for continuation of life. One experience of life in the physical body, and then another one without the physical body. But but consciousness, the term I like to use is awareness. I think that's the thing that for me identifies, being a sentient being, is that we're aware. We have the ability to be aware, self-aware. And that awareness continues when the body no longer can. So.
Sounds good. Exactly. And science is also demonstrated that mind is out here. Mind is a quantum event. So, and Sandy, what would you like to add to this?
Well, the first thing that came to mind when you asked that question was questioning. That was, I don't know, it just thought intelligence is a constant question to build on, to find answers, to grow. It just what came to mind. Because I think everybody's always questioning, some a lot more than others, but I think it's a human trait. And I'm not sure, but I can't imagine. I mean, we would go nowhere without it. We would be nowhere without it, I guess. And then I'm looking at it from a physical plane, I think, situation, but where we are in our human lives, that it's everything. And I don't know.
But you do, because you're all correct. See, intelligence is extremely abstract.
Mm-hmm.
And what makes it so abstract is, one, it exists outside of the brain, because you can cut half the brain out and still function. That's a lot of brain gone. So that in and of itself demonstrates that mind is not located here. It's dependent on this, but it's not located there. It's a quantum event, because it moves forwards and backwards through time. It's not stuck in the present like the brain is. And human intelligence it's connected to social, cultural, political, and economic influences. So even in the realm of psychology, there is no firm definition, no firm theory of intelligence. But now comes the more important question. Are all of you ready? What separates human intelligence from plant intelligence or animal intelligence? Now, here's an interesting concept. Who would like to go first?
I will step out there and say the difference is free will.
Okay. And how about you, Sharon?
Well, the first thing I thought of is that you're absolutely right, Thomas, because that's kind of basically, I was just going to say that animals and plants survive because of nature, because they do what they are naturally, I don't know about programmed, but maybe programmed is the right word, but they do what they have to do to survive without that. They just they exist. And I'm not really saying this right, but they do what they are naturally supposed to do, but we can change that. We can we can, if it doesn't work the way we want to, we can go around it. We can do something else, hence the free will. So yeah, that was kind of where I was going to.
Okay. And Sandy.
Well, I agree. I agree with what Sharon said and Reverend Thomas. There's an instinct in to survive in plants and animals. We have the instinct too to survive, but we also have the choice, and that's, I guess, what separates us.
Mhm.
And to achieve, to aspire to a higher place, to aspire to a higher thought, and a higher consciousness than that. We have the choice, or the desire. We have the desire to do that, where other lower species are just they go with the flow, but we have the desire and the inclination to rise, to go above it. So I guess that's
Okay.
and that's good. That's good.
Yes. And Beth.
Um, I would say what makes us different is our ability to believe in a higher power and to live by the tenets we believe might come from that higher power.
Okay. All good answers. All are wonderful answers. And I'm going to provide you with my observations as I look at nature and such. The only thing I don't see occurring in nature is our attempt to master all, to have mastery over the plants, to have mastery over the animals, to have mastery over all aspects of society, to have mastery over culture. That's the one thing I don't see in nature. And myself, that's what I would suggest is what is different from human intelligence and plant and animal intelligence. Because and I forget which one of you said separate. That's another thing that we as humans like to do, is we like to separate ourselves, whether we separate ourselves literally through these mental constructs, or we separate ourselves from those around us. But at the same time, I see that very same thing I shouldn't say I see it or have observed it, but I have read of others' observations of the same thing occurring in nature. But let's come back to the idea of human intelligence and the functions of these pyramids, which is we are a receptacle. If we are these pyramids of light, we are receptacles of information. And he talks about us having to be initiated. Human intelligence must be initiated into the pyramidal functions of light before they can advance to the next ordering of evolution. The only way I feel that we can be initiated into the functions of these pyramid of lights, of our potential, say. I don't want to say true potential, because that can be easily misleading. But to become initiated into our potential, or into a potential, however you choose to do that, being receptacles of information, there is a necessary step that I feel is important in that initiation. And that is awareness. More than just awareness of the information, but awareness of what we are doing with that information. We influence those around us. That's a given. We see that. It's not like we don't know that. But we also influence events. It's commonly called manifesting. But manifesting is just the first stage of that. Manifesting is just the clarity of what it is that you want to do, how you want to use this information. It's the creative part where we create the situation through our mental manipulations of that, what we call these subtle frequencies. The big craze or fad, I should say, that took place some years ago with The Secret. It's that level of influence that I am referring to. It's that cliche, careful what you wish for, because it's not that you might get it, you will get it. It's that level of awareness that we may want to aspire towards, because as we aspire towards that, our awareness has expanded. And once it begins to expand, it's like it's an automatic door. It just, once you step on that pad, it opens. And the only way it stops opening is if you force it to stop. So, any comments or questions you might like to share with this as we begin to wrap this up? And I will begin with Beth, since she's right in front of me.
No, this has been just, other than this has been a really good talk. It's helped kind of, like, my brain feels alert.
Good.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Good. And Sandy, what are your thoughts, comments, questions?
Well, that it's given a lot of food for thought, I guess, is that everything was said just inspires a lot more questions and a lot more, or just a lot more ability to absorb this, because it's a really heavy, to me, it's a pretty heavy subject, but it's just given me more food for thought, and more I need more time to absorb all this, because it's really a lot to take in, I think, for me anyway. But I've written down the basic things of what was said, and I'm dwelling on it. I'm just going to dwell on it. I don't have a lot of answers right now, because I'm just still trying to process this. But I liked it. It's really good. It's good.
Good. I'm glad. You're welcome. And those questions you write down, you said you wrote down some other questions because it led to other questions, which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fantastic. I just want to say feel free to ask those questions, whether it's during service or, these talks that we have. They don't have to be relevant. They don't have to be relevant, because we can always come back to the topic. But I would like to be sure that your understanding is as complete as it can possibly be. And the only way that can occur is through questions.
Right,
So
right.
whether you contact me through email, text, or whatever, through one of these, ask questions.
Okay, thank you.
And let me see. Sharon, have I called on you?
No, you have not.
Then this is the perfect opportunity for you.
Is it? Okay. I wrote down just some of the things that were said that I thought were important, like we are receptacles of information, and that and the term manifest and clarity I put also with that, because I wanted to think about that a little bit. Anyway, that's pretty much it at this
Good.
moment.
Good. So long as the conversation started churning your mind or turning wheels, that's fantastic. That is fantastic. That's the only way we make discoveries. And Reverend Thomas.
One of the ways that this is, makes sense for me is, and I use the term autopilot, and to differentiate humans, what humans can do and what the rest of nature does is the autopilot. And of course, human beings have been directed by instinct, and as well as animals, and that process of evolution always works towards a new balance and a new harmony. And yes, there are winners and losers always, but whatever the conditions are, it's inherent within the creation to work towards a new balance and a new harmony. Um, and uh, and it seems to fit the Adam and Eve story of you know, leaving paradise, and that would be when they went off of autopilot and they began to use their own free will. And that's what we do with our free will. And that initiation point described here, I feel, is when we master this free will to be able to work towards to make decisions that move the evolutionary process towards harmony and balance. In the meanwhile, our free will can be very destructive. It can be very beneficial to one group and very harmful to another. It can be quite cruel. It can be short-sighted, and it's that stumbling process, learning to walk, kind of thing in the human evolution. But ultimately, it is our goal to master this process. And as Reverend Phillips said, it isn't that you might get what you wish for; you will get it, because that process is working all perfectly. And the only thing that saves us is everything we think doesn't instantly manifest. It takes time. And that delay, that lag, is the thing that has kept us from just being totally in a nightmare, because we're growing and evolving into more loving, caring beings that can handle the power of this creative process. That's our goal. We keep taking baby steps in that direction. Wonderful topic, Reverend Philip. Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad all of you enjoyed it. And I just want to leave with this. As we continue our expansion, meaning our expansion of awareness, expansion of mind, we advance into the next order of evolution. And I want to thank all of you for your participation. It just wouldn't be the same without that. And I want to thank you for allowing me to share with you today.